Welcome back to Easy English Talk podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Easy English Talk podcast. It's so good to have you here with us today. Hey, Priya, how has your day been so far?
Hi, Ryan. My day has been really good. Thank you for asking. I've been working on some new lesson ideas, and I'm excited to share them. How about you? How has your day been going?
It's been great, thanks. I've been thinking a lot about our topic today, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Now, I want to ask our listeners something important. Where are you watching or listening from right now?
Yes, we'd love to know. Are you at home, on your commute, or maybe taking a break from work? Please tell us in the comments below. We really enjoy hearing from you and learning about where you're from.
And we also want to know if this podcast is helping you improve your English and grow as a person. Your feedback means so much to us, so please share your thoughts. We read every single comment you leave.
Absolutely. Your support and engagement keep us motivated to create better content for you. So don't be shy. Let us know how we're doing and what topics you'd like us to cover next.
Today, we are discussing how to use been in English. Now, if you clicked on this episode, it's probably because you've heard this word many times, but still feel confused about when and how to use it correctly.
That's exactly right. By the end of this episode, you'll understand the different ways to use been. You'll feel confident using it in conversations, and you'll stop making common mistakes that many learners make. This is going to be really practical and helpful.
So let's start by talking about the problem. Priya, why do you think so many English learners struggle with the word been? What makes it so confusing for people?
Well, the main issue is that been doesn't exist alone in most languages. It's the past participle of the verb to be, and many learners don't have an equivalent structure in their native language, so they don't know when to use it.
That makes sense. And I think another problem is that been appears in different grammatical structures. Sometimes it's used with have, sometimes with had, and sometimes even with being. That variety confuses people.
Exactly. Plus, learners often confuse been with gone or was or were. They're not sure which one fits the sentence they're trying to say, so they either avoid using been completely or use it incorrectly.
Right. And when you avoid using a word because you're not confident, you miss out on expressing yourself clearly. Been is actually a very common and useful word in English, so understanding it opens up a lot of possibilities.
Absolutely. Native speakers use been all the time without even thinking about it. If you want to sound natural and fluent, you need to be comfortable with this word. It's essential for everyday conversation.
So let's break this down step by step. The first thing we need to understand is what been actually is. Priya, can you explain that in the simplest way possible?
Sure. Been is the past participle form of the verb to be. The verb to be has different forms like am, is, are, was, and were. Been is the form we use when we need a past participle.
And just to make that clearer for everyone, a past participle is a verb form that we use with helping verbs like have, has, or had. So you never say been by itself. It always comes after a helping verb.
That's a really important point. You can't say, I've been to London. That's incorrect. You must say, I have been to London, or I've been to London. The helping verb is necessary.
Perfect. Now let's talk about the most common way people use been, which is with the present perfect tense. This is when we use have or has plus been. Can you give us some examples, Priya?
Of course. Let's say, I have been busy all week, or she has been sick since Monday, or they have been friends for 10 years. In all these sentences, we're connecting the past to the present.
That's the key point right there. The present perfect tense with been shows that something started in the past and continues now, or it has a connection to the present moment. It's not just about the past.
Exactly. If you say, I have been tired, you're saying you became tired at some point and you're still tired now. It's different from saying, I was tired, which just talks about a finished time in the past.
So the feeling or state continues. That's why we use have been instead of was. This is a distinction that learners really need to understand because it changes the meaning completely.
Yes. Let me give another example. If someone asks, have you been to Japan? They're asking about your life experience up until now. It doesn't matter exactly when. They just want to know if it's part of your experience.
Right. You're not asking about a specific time. You're asking about someone's life in general. And if the person says, yes, I have been to Japan, they're confirming that experience exists in their past.
And if they want to add more detail, they might say, yes, I have been to Japan twice, or I have been there many times. Again, the focus is on the experience, not the specific moment it happened.
This is really useful. Now, let's move to another common use of been, which is to talk about places. We often use have been or has been to say someone went somewhere and came back. Can you explain that, Priya?
Sure. When you say, I have been to the store, it means you went to the store and you're back now. You're not at the store anymore. You completed the trip and returned.
And this is where learners sometimes confuse been with gone. So let's clarify that difference right now. If you say, she has gone to the store, what does that mean?
It means she went to the store and she's still there. She hasn't returned yet. So gone means the person is still at that place, but been means they went and came back.
That's a really important distinction. Been equals went and returned. Gone equals went and is still there. Let's give our listeners a moment to think about that, because it's a common mistake.
Absolutely. Here's an easy way to remember it. If someone asks, where is Sarah? And you say she has gone to the bank, it means she's not here right now. She's at the bank.
But if you say she has been to the bank, it means she went earlier, finished her business, and came back. She's here now, or at least she's not at the bank anymore.
Exactly. So the next time you're trying to explain someone's location or movement, think carefully about whether they're still there or if they've returned. That will help you choose between been and gone.
Great explanation. Now, let's talk about another important use of been, which is describing states or conditions that have continued for some time. We touched on this earlier, but let's go deeper. What do you mean by states or conditions, Priya?
I mean feelings, situations, or qualities that last for a period of time. For example, I have been happy lately, or he has been stressed at work, or the weather has been cold this week.
So we're talking about something that's been true for a while, not just a single moment, and we're often implying that it's still true now or just recently finished. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. When you say, I have been tired, you're talking about a state that started some time ago and is continuing or just ended. It's not about one specific moment yesterday. It's about a recent period.
And this is where time expressions become really important. We often use words like lately, recently, for, since, all day, all week, and all month with this structure. Can you give examples with those words?
Sure. I have been busy lately. She has been working hard recently. They have been married for 20 years. He has been here since morning. All of these show duration or a recent period.
Those are perfect examples. And notice how natural they sound. Native speakers use these kinds of sentences constantly. So if you want to talk about your recent experiences or ongoing situations, you need to be comfortable with have been and has been.
Absolutely. And here's a tip. If you can add the word lately or recently to your sentence and it makes sense, then have been or has been is probably the right choice.
That's a really helpful tip. Now let's move on to another structure that uses been. This is the present perfect continuous tense. This is when we say have been or has been plus a verb ending in ing. What's the purpose of this structure, Priya?
This structure emphasizes that an action has been continuing for a period of time, and often it's still happening now. For example, I have been studying for 3 hours, or she has been working since morning.
So the focus is on the duration and the ongoing nature of the action. You're not just saying you studied, you're saying you've been studying continuously, and that continuous action is important to mention.
Exactly. It often explains why you're tired, busy, or in a certain state now. Like if someone says, "Why are you so tired?" you might answer, "I have been working all day." That explains your current state.
Right. The action in the past is directly connected to how you feel or what's happening now. That's the whole point of the present perfect continuous. It creates that link between past action and present result.
Yes, and learners should know that this structure is very common in spoken English. People use it all the time to talk about what they've been doing recently or to explain their current situation.
Let's give more examples so people can really hear how it sounds. I have been learning English for 2 years. He has been living in Canada since 2020. We have been waiting for an hour. Do you hear how each sentence emphasizes the duration?
Yes, and in each case, the action either continues now or just recently stopped. The time element is really important. We're not talking about a single completed action. We're talking about something that took time and effort.
And that's why we use for and since so often with this structure. For tells us the length of time, like for 3 hours or for 10 years. Since tells us the starting point, like since Monday or since 2015.
That's a great point. Learners sometimes confuse for and since, so let's make it clear. For is followed by a period of time. Since is followed by a specific point in time when the action started.
Perfect. So you say, I have been here for 2 hours, but I have been here since 3 o'clock. The first one tells you the duration. The second one tells you the starting point.
Exactly, and both are correct, but they give different types of information. Understanding this difference will make your English sound much more natural and precise.
Now, let's talk about the past perfect tense, which uses had been. This is a little more advanced, but it's still important to understand. Priya, when do we use had been?
We use had been when we're talking about something that happened before another past event, so we're going back even further in time. It shows that one past action or state came before another past action.
So, it's all about the sequence of events in the past. Let me give an example. I was tired yesterday because I had been working all night. The working happened before the tiredness. Does that make sense?
Yes, perfect example. The had been working happened first, before you felt tired. You're explaining the reason for something that happened in the past by mentioning something even earlier.
Right. And this is useful when you're telling stories or explaining situations. You're giving background information about what happened before the main event. It adds depth and clarity to your story.
Absolutely. Another example would be, she was upset because she had been waiting for 2 hours. The waiting came before the upset feeling. The had been makes that sequence clear.
Exactly. And just like with the present perfect, we can also use had been with continuous actions. So we say had been plus a verb ending in ing. Like, they had been living there for years before they moved.
Yes, and this shows that the living happened over a long period, and then something else happened, which was the move. It's all about showing the order and duration of past events.
Now, I want to address a common mistake that learners make. Sometimes people use been when they should use being. These two words sound similar, but they're completely different. Can you explain the difference, Priya?
Sure. Been is the past participle or to be, like we've discussed. Being is the present participle or gerund form. We use being when we're talking about the act of being something or when we're describing continuous states.
Right. So if you say, I enjoy being a teacher, you're talking about the experience or act of being a teacher. Being is used like a noun here. It's the activity or state itself.
Exactly. And we also use being in passive continuous forms. For example, the house is being built, or the problem is being solved. Here, being shows that the action is happening right now.
So been and being are not interchangeable. You can't say, I have being there, or I enjoy being a teacher. Those are incorrect. You need to know which form fits the grammatical structure you're using.
That's right. And the best way to learn this is through practice and listening to native speakers. The more you hear these words in context, the more natural it becomes to use them correctly.
Now let's talk about contractions, because in spoken English, we almost always use contractions with been. Instead of saying I have been, we say I've been. Instead of she has been, we say she's been. This makes your English sound much more natural.
Yes, contractions are so important for fluency. When you use them, you sound more like a native speaker. And with been, the contractions are very common. We've been, they've been, he's been, it's been. These are what you'll hear every day.
Exactly. And when you're practicing, try to use contractions from the beginning. Don't just say the full forms. Train your mouth to say I've been instead of I have been. It will help your speaking become more fluent and natural.
Absolutely. And remember, in writing, both forms are acceptable depending on the formality. In casual emails or messages, use contractions. In formal writing, you might use the full forms. But in speaking, contractions are almost always better.
Great point. Now I want to give our listeners some practical tips for using been correctly. The first tip is to pay attention to the time frame. Are you talking about something connected to now or something completely finished in the past?
Yes, and if it's connected to now, use have been or has been. If it's completely finished and has no connection to the present, use was or were instead. That's the basic decision you need to make.
The second tip is to practice with common phrases. There are certain expressions with been that native speakers use all the time. Things like I've been meaning to, it's been a while, I've been thinking about, and how have you been? Learn these as fixed phrases.
That's excellent advice. When you learn phrases as whole units, you don't have to think about the grammar every time. You just know that this is how people say it. It becomes automatic and natural.
The third tip is to listen carefully to native speakers. Pay attention to when they use been and in what context. Watch English shows, listen to podcasts like ours, and notice the patterns. Your brain will start to absorb the correct usage naturally.
Yes, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes when learning. The important thing is to try using been in your own sentences. Write them down, say them out loud, and get comfortable with the word.
Absolutely. The fourth tip is to ask yourself, when did this happen? And is it still relevant now? If the answer to the second question is yes, then have been or has been is probably the right choice.
And the fifth tip is to practice the difference between been and gone specifically, because that's where many learners get confused. Make your own example sentences and check them with a teacher or a native speaker if possible.
Great tips. Now let's talk about some specific situations where been is really useful. One situation is when you're talking about your experiences in life. Like when someone asks, "Have you ever been to Europe?" Or "Have you been on a plane before?"
Yes, questions about experience almost always use have been or has been, and the answers do too. Yes, I have been there, or no, I've never been on a plane. This structure is perfect for talking about life experiences.
Another situation is when you're explaining why you feel a certain way or why something is happening now. Like, "I'm exhausted because I've been running," or "The streets are wet because it's been raining."
Exactly. You're giving the reason or background for a current situation, and have been or has been creates that connection between the past action and the present result. It's very logical and clear.
A third situation is when you're talking about ongoing or repeated actions over a period of time. Like, "I've been taking English classes for 6 months," or "She's been calling me all week." It shows persistence or repetition.
Yes, and native speakers love using this structure to talk about habits or regular activities that have been happening recently. It's a very natural way to talk about your routine or what you've been doing lately.
Now let's address some specific mistakes that learners make. One common mistake is forgetting to use the helping verb. People say, "I've been to the store," instead of "I have been to the store." That sounds very unnatural.
Yes, you must always include have, has, or had before been. Never skip it. It's not optional. Even in very casual speech, native speakers use contractions, like I've been, but they never drop the helping verb completely.
Another mistake is using been when you should use was or were. For example, saying "I have been there yesterday" is wrong. If you mention a finished time like yesterday, you should say "I was there yesterday."
That's a really important point. If you use a specific past time expression like yesterday, last week, or in 2015, you cannot use have been. You must use the simple past tense. This is a common error.
Right. Have been goes with non-specific time or time that connects to now. Was or were goes with specific finished times. Keep that distinction in mind and you'll avoid a lot of mistakes.
Another mistake is confusing been and being, like we mentioned earlier. Remember, if you're using have, has, or had, the next word should be been, not being. I have being is always wrong.
Exactly. And one more mistake is using been when talking about permanent facts or states. For example, you don't say "I have been from Pakistan." You say "I am from Pakistan" because your origin is a permanent fact, not a temporary state.
Yes, have been is for temporary states or experiences, not permanent facts. Your nationality, your birthplace, these things don't change, so we use am, is, or are, not have been or has been.
Now let's talk about how to practice using been effectively. The first exercise you can do is to write 10 sentences about your own life using have been or has been. Make them personal and true.
Yes, write about places you've been, things you've done, how you felt recently. For example, I have been to 3 countries, or I have been learning English for 2 years. Personal sentences are easier to remember.
The second exercise is to keep a daily journal where you describe what you've been doing. Use sentences like, "Today I've been working on a project," or "This week I've been feeling stressed." This builds the habit of using the structure naturally.
That's a great idea. And the third exercise is to have conversations with other learners or teachers where you specifically try to use been at least 5 times. Challenge yourself to include it naturally in your speaking.
Yes, and the fourth exercise is to watch English videos or listen to podcasts and write down every sentence you hear with been in it. Then analyze why it was used in that context. This builds your awareness.
Absolutely. And the fifth exercise is to take incorrect sentences and correct them. For example, if you see "I been there" or "she have been sick," practice fixing them to "I have been there" and "she has been sick."
These exercises will really help you internalize the correct usage. The key is repetition and practice in different contexts. The more you use been, the more comfortable you'll become with it.
Yes, and don't expect to master it immediately. Language learning takes time. Be patient with yourself and celebrate small progress. Every correct sentence is a step forward.
Now I want to talk about the emotional or psychological side of learning grammar. Many learners feel frustrated when they keep making mistakes with words like been. They feel like they should know it by now. Have you experienced that, Priya?
Absolutely.
I think every language learner has felt that frustration. But the truth is, grammar isn't just about rules. It's about building mental habits, and that takes time. You have to hear and use a structure many times before it becomes automatic.
That's so true. And been is particularly tricky because it's part of complex tense systems that might not exist in your native language. Your brain is literally creating new pathways, so be kind to yourself during that process.
Exactly. And remember, making mistakes is how you learn. Every mistake is information. It tells you what you need to practice more. So don't avoid using been because you're afraid of being wrong. Use it, make mistakes, and learn from them.
That's wonderful advice. And I want to add that you should focus on communication first, perfection second. If you use been incorrectly but people understand you, that's still a success. You can refine your accuracy over time.
Yes, fluency and accuracy both matter, but fluency often comes first. Don't let fear of mistakes stop you from speaking. Keep practicing, keep trying, and your accuracy will improve naturally as you gain more experience.
Now let's talk about regional differences. In different English-speaking countries, people might use been slightly differently in casual speech. For example, in some regions, people might say, "I've been there," in very informal situations, dropping the helping verb.
That's true, and you might hear that in songs, movies, or casual conversations. But as a number, you should stick to the standard form with the helping verb. It's always correct and appropriate in any situation.
Exactly. Learn the rules first, and then later you can understand the variations. But don't try to copy informal or regional speech until you're very confident with the standard forms. That will save you from developing bad habits.
Yes, and when you're in doubt, always choose the more formal, complete form. Saying "I have been" is always safe and correct. Saying "I've been" might sound casual or incorrect, depending on the context and your accent.
Great point. Now let's quickly review the main uses of been that we've covered today. First, we use have been or has been to talk about experiences up to now, like "I have been to Japan."
Second, we use it to talk about places we visited and returned from. She has been to the market. Third, we use it to describe states or conditions that continue or just ended. I have been tired lately.
Fourth, we use have been or has been plus ing to show continuous actions over time. I have been studying for hours. And fifth, we use had been to talk about something that happened before another past event.
Exactly. And throughout all of these uses, remember that been never stands alone. It always needs a helping verb like have, has, or had. That's the golden rule.
Perfect summary. Now I want to emphasize one more time that the best way to truly master been is through consistent practice and exposure. You need to hear it, read it, write it, and speak it many times in different contexts.
Yes, and make it part of your daily English practice. When you're thinking in English, try to describe your day using have-been structures. When you're reading, notice when authors use been. Build that awareness and familiarity.
And don't be discouraged if it feels difficult at first. Every native speaker learned this naturally over many years of hearing and using it. You're learning it consciously, which is harder, but also means you can understand it more deeply.
Absolutely. And remember that you're not alone in this struggle. Millions of English learners around the world are working on the same thing. It's a normal part of the learning process, and you're making progress every day.
That's a really encouraging thought. Now, as we come to the end of today's discussion, I want to ask you, Priya, what's the one most important thing you want our listeners to remember about using been?
I would say remember that been creates a connection between the past and the present. It's not just about what happened before. It's about how the past relates to now. Once you understand that concept, everything else makes more sense.
That's perfect. And I would add that you should focus on the most common uses first. Master have been for experiences and have been plus ing for ongoing actions. Those two structures will cover most of your needs in everyday conversation.
Great advice. And practice with real sentences about your own life. Don't just memorize grammar rules. Make it personal and meaningful. That's how language really sticks in your brain.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've covered this topic thoroughly today. We talked about what been is, when to use it, common mistakes to avoid, and practical ways to practice. I hope this has been helpful for everyone listening.
Yes, and I hope you feel more confident now about using been in your English. Remember, it's a process. Be patient, keep practicing, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how you grow.
Before we finish, I want to remind everyone that if you found this episode useful, there are many more helpful episodes on Easy English Talk podcast. We cover grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and so much more.
Yes, please explore our channel and find other topics that can help you on your English learning journey. We create every episode with care, thinking about what you need most. There's so much valuable content waiting for you.
We really appreciate you being here with us today. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your commitment to improving your English. Keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Take care, practice what you learned today, and remember that every small step counts. We're here to support you. See you next time on Easy English Talk Podcast.
Goodbye, everyone. Stay motivated, stay curious, and keep working toward your English goals. We believe in you. See you soon.